Hello everyone and welcome back to the vlog this week. We're going to finish up our three-part Twitter series today. I am going to try to put the links for episodes 1 and 2 in the corners. If I can't, they will be linked down below, so either way you'll be able to get to them if you're coming into this one first. They can really be watched in any order, but they're just 3 different chapters on how to try to Twitter better. So today we're going to cover things not to do, and honestly, even though I'm doing this 1/3, this is probably not a bad place to start either. This is going to cover things that you can do on a Twitter page, but generally shouldn't because the people that follow you aren't going to like it. So, and these aren't specifically my rules. These are rules I've picked up from other people along the way. So some of them are fairly common knowledge at this point. Some of them are still opinions and personal beliefs, but I've found that these are the things that I know as a follower generally get me to unfollow people. So at the very least, these are the best ways to keep me on your page, if nobody else. And again, this isn't really for a personal Twitter account. This is more for a writer or author's account or a basically small business account. If you're not doing these things, but you're on a personal account, it's probably okay. But if you're trying to put an image forward that is business-minded or business-oriented, these are really things you want to try to avoid. And that's really the first thing, is that remember that your Twitter account, unlike some other forms of social media, this one is going to be specifically geared towards your business and to your branding as a writer. So you want to try to avoid things that may or may not coincide with your business. You're allowed to have personal opinions outside of your business, but keep them outside. For that reason, you generally won't see me post anything political on my Twitter account, where you will on my Facebook page, because Facebook is more conversational, Twitter is more succinct points. Anything that's political, you're going to need to talk about for a while, so trying to do it as a quick point is not going to work. Right, so number 1, auto direct messaging. There's a lot of services out there that you can do for this. I believe you can even just set it up through Twitter right now, which is anytime somebody follows you, you send them a direct message going, "Thank you for following. By the way, here's links to 3 of my books that you can download for free." If you're doing this, don't. The first reason is it doesn't help add value to your brand, either your Twitter brand or your books themselves. And the reason I say that is somebody just decided to like you and follow you. The first thing you do is come back with, "Hey, do this thing for me too." It's a little bit like begging. Begging is bad, and it doesn't help to increase the value of following you on your Twitter account. Number 2, as writers, we really need to stop doing this. Yes, it's a good idea to give away some free stuff. Yes, it's a good idea to try to control pricing. But this is not a way to do either one of those. The problem is if you're literally giving away books for free every time somebody Twitter follows you, and 1,000 other people are, those are readers that will never ever buy. And the reason they won't buy is they can literally get 1,000 books a week just by hitting the right Twitter accounts. There's no need for them to ever buy fiction, so they're not going to. As soon as people stop buying, you stop selling, because that's kind of both sides of the same coin. As soon as you stop selling, your brand as a writer is going to go down the tubes. So chill on those a little bit. Free stuff just for following is not a bad idea. Free books just for following, definitely a bad idea. And again, try not to make it look begging. Try not to be giving away too much, because now it looks like I have to wonder why I should follow you, because apparently you're so hard up for followers that I can download your entire bibliography. So that's probably not a good idea. Number 2, tweet storming. If you're not familiar with what tweet storming is, that's a good thing, because that means you're probably not doing it. Tweet storming is one of 2 things. Either putting up a series of unrelated tweets back to back to back to back to back and slamming your Twitter account, or putting up a series of related tweets because you're trying to tell a story in Twitter, and because there's only 140 characters per tweet, it's taking you 6 or 7 attempts. Both of these are bad. Neither one is going to work. Number one, they look like spamming. Number two, they look like you don't know how to write for this medium. And anytime you demonstrate that you don't know how to write for a medium, all you've done is demonstrate one more thing that you don't know how to write. And as a writer, that's not a good idea. So try to limit it to just a single tweet at a time. Believe it or not, I generally try not to spend more than 1, maybe 2 an hour tops, including my automated ones. And I always check to see when the most recent automated one was. If it was within the last 5 minutes or so, I don't send another one because that's not helping me get to anybody, and all it's doing is annoying people. So make sure your tweets are spaced out. Make sure they don't come, slamming back at people, and try to keep everything running on a regular schedule. Now, while you don't want to tweet storm on people, you do want to respond when people like or reply on your tweets. So if somebody retweets you, if somebody replies on it, if somebody comments to your tweet, that's a different case. In that case, go back in and either thank them or respond in kind, and probably just leave it there. Again, you don't want to get into big conversations. It doesn't look right. It doesn't work well on Twitter. 1 or 2 hits back or forth, and you're done. Any more than that, and you're not really communicating anymore, you're just kind of flooding airwaves. So if somebody posts something in response to something you did, identify it, respond to it, because that's how you build your rapport, but you don't want to go 5, 6, 7 deep on that. Just hit it and let it go. Number 3, control your hashtags. And by this I mean don't hashtag advice, hashtag give, hashtag all the time, because if you're putting that many hashtags in, it's going to be a little bit disruptive. Now, generally, the rule of thumb I've seen seems to be up to 3 is okay. More than 3 is just going to annoy people. So there's a couple that you want to try to hit. Not all hashtags are equal. Writing is a really big one for me. Sci-fi is a really good one that gets a lot of responses. Other than that, there's going to be a few that will vary based on your business or your genre. But those 2 seem to be really, really big hits. So I will generally fit those 2 in, and maybe one other one, and that's it. If you have more than 3 things that you're trying to hashtag into something, odds are that's good for another tweet. Just again, wait a little bit before you send another one. Tag them in there. Keep it going. Number 4, this is going to be about reply. And this isn't so much a don't because it annoys people, but it's a don't because it won't work the way you think it does. If, again, we mentioned replying to people as a way to try to build rapport and have more people see it. Here's the thing. If you hit reply and the first thing at the reply is at that other person, only that other person is going to see it. What you need to do is put even a single word before that in your reply, and now everyone that follows your account will see it, or anyone that's looking for their reference will see it. If it starts with just that person's identity, that's all that's going to happen now. So you want to try to make sure you stretch that in and get a little bit more for your money out of it. Next is going to be don't over promote, and we kind of touched on this already, but again, don't hit a ton of tweets constantly. Don't be following up and going reply, 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 reply. And don't make every tweet that you send about your latest book, your latest whatever, because if you do that, people aren't going to be following you to get information. People are going to just be assuming that the only thing you do with your Twitter account is advertise, at which point I've got no reason to follow it because I know you've got a book and I don't need to hear about it because either I bought it or I haven't. But odds are 12 different tweets a day about how I should buy your book is going to do the exact opposite of convincing me to buy your book. So 1 or 2 ads a day is good. The rest of your tweets, make them personable, make them dynamic, make them about you so that you can build an audience, because you're not trying to use Twitter as an ad campaign. You're trying to use Twitter as a rapport building campaign. And lastly, and this really should be obvious to anybody that writes, but since it's not, we're going to discuss it anyway. Spelling counts, and I'm the first one to make this mistake because I am slightly dyslexic, so I will sometimes not notice I've spelled words wrong until after an hour or so has passed. But be that as it may, you want to try to make sure your spelling is correct. If you're using the wrong form of your, well, guess what? You just proved that you're a bad writer, and you're less likely to sell your books with all those tweets you're sending every day that you shouldn't be. If you use all kinds of shortened Twitter abbreviations, yeah, that's great. Yeah, you'll get more content in. But depending on your audience, you might have also just alienated a lot of them, because there's a lot of people that don't like writing abbreviated YUR words. So try to fit in the full word. Again, if you can't fit in your tweet in the short amount of time, odds are this isn't the right medium for it. Put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook, or make a blog post and then just put a link to the blog post if you need to do it that way. Remember, the medium that you're working for is supposed to be just light touches, quick in and out. You don't need to go really deep. Try to work on figuring out ways to phrase things. And if you run a little bit long in words, then go back and edit your statement down so that it fits in 140 characters. There's usually ways to make it work. What doesn't work is intentionally spelling words wrong, missing punctuation, leaving gaps where words should be and aren't to try to fit things in. These won't look like you're doing this for Twitter. These will look like you do this regularly, and that's not going to help your brand. So make sure to maintain your spelling, make it conversationable, but still make it fit. And that's all we have to deal with today. So hopefully this has been a help to you. If you do have any questions or comments or things that really cheese you off that people do, including myself, that I didn't cover, put them in the comments down below. Other than that, please remember that my new serial, Absolute Valentine, is launching on Valentine's Day, ironically enough, from the Monolith. So please go and take a look at that on Sunday. Also, for a short time remaining, Corgatio, which is linked up in my header bar, is free. And check out my blog and my Patreon page. Again, $1 per month gets you access to publications that I don't put anywhere but my Patreon page. So, fresh fiction just for you, just for $1. Not a bad deal. Once again, thank you for coming to my vlog. Hopefully these were beneficial to you, and I will catch you all next week.